Hey guys, Zora here. Welcome back to Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Again, on the screen that doesn't have any music. We did the summation examination. I think that's what it was called. I don't know. I literally forgot it about 5 seconds ago. But basically we pit the jurors against each other to see what kind of discrepancies we found. And so far we found that there are two different accounts on how the victim was stabbed, either on the floor or right next to the victim, as well as the discrepancy on the amount of money that Beppo received on his fare, having 20 pence, although it's supposed to be one person per 4 pence, and that's not the case. So now that that's settled and done with, the scale is leaning to the innocent side as a majority, therefore we are able to continue with the trial. Hopefully. Maybe in our favor. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. Please tell me it's not gonna say to be continued. Okay. If I ended off the episode a little too early, that would have been... So, Lord Von Zeeks. Continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. Where did you get in her grail? How many of those do you have? Oh! Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hollow chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Von Zeeks! Is it cold in here, or is it just me? I don't know about you, but it is sweltering hot in here, and I want to turn the AC back on. As your antiqued tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honored a deadly silence, and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No. And why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Oh, and there goes the cape. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Oh, Beppo. Oh, Beppo. Witnesses. I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir.
Of course I've heard it.
Oh, yes, sir. I heard it.
You, sir, on the end. The coachman. I believe it's Beppo?
Yes, sir. My lord, sir.
If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus, you'll be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, mio Dio.
I don't know what those words mean. Now then, witnesses, I hereby call you on to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense summation examination. Why can't they pick a different term aside from that? I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember.
I only carried 4 passengers that night, sir. I swear it. But,
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. That also doesn't have a space. He fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw McGill stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
oh, yes. Yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Oh, Beppo. Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the couchman's sly little cousinage. Beppo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster.
The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold. And the last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, coachman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace! And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild! If I may, sir. I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. Poor Beppo. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely! I love his eyes just kind of perked up at that. Alright, I actually don't know where to really focus my efforts on, so I think I'm gonna press on each of their statements. So there were only 4 passengers on your carriage. We didn't charge them to stand 4 pence fare. Is that right?
It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was so cold, it was all I could do to stop myself passing out.
I'm getting chilblains just listening to you.
It was terrible, so I want to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running.
Oh, poor Beppo.
Doesn't the dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger?
You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night, then we would have had another suspect. Alright, so what? No, go back. Go back! Hold it! Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I just did.
A flat fare of 5 pence across the board.
It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed, it's gone. Dead. And buried. I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place. Okay, so now we're getting to like where they saw the killing, which is the discrepancy. This blood-curdling sight, you mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir! A loathsome sight. No one should have witnessed the horror in the eyes of a man in the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well,
not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. Good gracious! Really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, you see? Then when I looked through the glass, that's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. Then why aren't you screaming at the knife of the juror? Hold it! So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was the only two of them inside of the carriage, wasn't there? There has been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as yet, zero evidence. Then what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. He stabbed him, yes he did, I think so. So what do you have to say? Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Why am I stuttering so much? Ah ha ha ha.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's right.
You said that the victim was on the floor, and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice-pick grip.
I suppose. I might have, you know, yes. Put the cart before the horse, maybe.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck.
Oh, I expected that was from me, sir.
Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor, and a knife was sticking out of his midriff. That's right, yes. And the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes.
So, in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all.
I really thought I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I?
Why are you biting your cane?
Excuse me!
Excuse me! Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay?
Now you listen to me! I know what you're thinking.
He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that?
Eh?
I don't know why I keep on saying in a... I don't know if I want to say an Asian accent, but like I keep on doing that, and I don't know why. Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. Might be able to extract some new information from him if I answered him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of an omnibus, that is.
Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember as clear as a ball of rat day. What the hell's a ball of rat? It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you.
Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that, alright? I'll tell you just how grim it was. Alright, what's this new testimony? They can forget the sight of his blood-soaked hands after ha 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 ha. Blood-soaked hands, you say? Blood-soaked hands? Well, I admit that soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question. Oh, yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Are you... He's nibbling on the top of his cane like a little gerbil. Sorry about the cut there, I had to go take care of something. This was actually the worst time to cut away, because all I had to do was watch and listen to him nibbling on the top of his cane like a little gerbil. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. I don't even know how it would even make that noise. But, no, that can't be right.
So you're the liar here then.
Gag! Okay, that's a really weird way of saying it.
That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said, it was both hands.
Oh my god, he's gonna lose it. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really true?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one. But the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood over both hands. Which means there was a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sakes. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man had a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. That is a good question. Maybe this? I'm hopeful. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we know of any London's gentry personally, is there? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you we will not find Mr. Sholm's name inside. Well, let's see what we find. I didn't actually think I could examine this. I don't actually remember that I could examine this. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah! Goodness! What is it? Look at this! Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay! The witness testified at this very moment! Oh yes, of course, the banker! Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, didn't he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course. But this could be very useful information. I don't actually remember this, but that makes a lot of sense. Is there anything in the back? Nope. Oh, that's the wrong button. Go over here and present. Oh wait, I can't present. There is evidence. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove! Are you sure? Yes. Evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court may have been found literally last minute. This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion. The point is, among the names on these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently in debt financially to the accused? No. Well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt. According to his ledger, you owe 20 guineas, whatever you call them. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What will become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were to be owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant. Well, there he goes. You're gonna break your teeth at this point, my sir. Order! 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 Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. My lord. I'm having too much fun with this. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you, or did you not, see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilded's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Grr. So you keep saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? It would appear that we're gonna need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yar. Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Do we? Do we? Oh, look at the lad over to the right. He's so sad. There is blood on both hands on the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, And as I remember seeing both the attackers' hands with blood on them.
Didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard the scream.
You know what? Hang on, I need to check something. This is actually bothering me. Oh, I can't see his hands. Are they sure they saw his hands? Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen. I was thinking like maybe they mistaken the victim's hands, but that picture doesn't show me anything. Well, lo and behold. In truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage. The man's hands were covered in blood. Grr, and that much incriminating evidence is tantamount to say that we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. Oh, I'm a very confused child right now. Hang on. Let's see. Step 1, synergy, trauma. I'm thinking it might be the victim's hands, but I can't see the victim's hands. That's the only thing that makes sense unless, are these inside out? Can they be inside out? No. Oh, I'm just very, very, very convinced. There has to be something I'm missing.